Hi, I'm back again with another 10 questions on your PMI-ACP exam preparation. So I will do question number 31 to 40 in this particular video. I am basically focusing on the mindset domain and mainly a particular task in a mindset domain, which is about embracing agile mindset. In our question number 31 to 40, and even after that, 41 to 50, I majorly focus on this particular task only. Now, why I am doing it? Because I have been getting many communication from the people who have taken PMI-ACP exam recently, and I see most of those individuals found this area difficult. Another reason is in this area we have many content which was not part of PMI-ACP exam before. So next 20 questions dedicated to task 2 of the mindset domain, embracing agile mindset. Now, if you want to prepare for this particular domain, you can use the PMI material. PMI has the content where you can find the topic, embrace the agile mindset, pretty much detailed out. If you are following PMI registered education provider content, this particular section which talks about various ideas starting from agile manifesto, talking about various agile frameworks, and then getting into the details of each and every small line items you see in your exam content outline is well elaborated here. So my request is that better to enroll to PMI authorized providers and get an access to PMI's official material to prepare for PMI-ACP exam rather than remaining confused about the content and the exam content outline. So that's a choice you have to make. If you want to prepare yourself, then we have a videos and you can also take care of studying the exam content outline well. If you want to enroll to our program, we follow the PMI authorized content and we make sure that you cover the exam content outline pretty well. Let's start with question number 31. You are leading a cross-functional team in an organization that value both agile and traditional plan-driven approaches. Okay, the team needs to incorporate leadership principles and emotional intelligence while balancing agility and structure to ensure project success. Which framework would best help you discuss and combine these diverse concepts effectively? Now, if you have studied the PMI material, you know the answer very easily because there is a brief explanation of all these frameworks and you can find the answer quickly. If not, then you need to rely on your agile knowledge. And out of the 4 options, even if you know 2 or 3, then you can guess the answer easily. So most of you who have been working in agile know Scrum, and you know the Scrum has no mechanism of combining plan-driven approach with agile. So you can definitely ignore that. Beyond agile model is a specific model which is designed for this purpose only, where you combined the various aspects of plan-driven, leadership, agile approaches and come up with your own ways of working. Yeah, so that's the answer actually. Extreme programming, if you already know extreme programming, then you know that it has nothing much to do with mixing the traditional plan-driven approach. If you have little bit awareness of scaled agile framework, then also you know that it doesn't have anything much to do with mixing the plan-driven approach. So either with the help of elimination using your existing knowledge or by using the content, you can find the answer. You don't have to study too much deep about all these plan-driven, extreme programming, scaled agile framework for the PMI-ACP exam. But little bit one-pager information is needed because the PMI-ACP exam is targeting project managers, agile coaches, scrum master, product owners, anyone who does a leadership role in the agile. So B is the answer, which is Beyond Agile model. You can do a beyondagile.com and look at it, though it is not needed for passing the exam. But yes, there is a good amount of content available there. Question number 32. So next 5 questions are like that only. If you know the concepts, they are very easy. If you don't know, then you probably need to play a game of elimination. So which of the following is not a characteristics of Scrum at scale? So definitely you can find a lot of information about Scrum at scale. There is a detailed information available on the Google or everywhere. If you want to focus on PMI material, they give you a 1.5 page information about scale at Scrum as well. And if you are aware of that 1.5 page information, this question becomes easy for you. You can expect these kind of questions in the exam, maybe one or two. Sometimes they may come as a match the pair kind of thing. So you should be knowing these keywords. So which of the following is not a characteristic of Scrum at scale? It is based on principle of Scrum, complex adaptive system theory, game theory, and object-oriented technology. So yes, that's the whole idea of Scrum at scale. Yeah, that's what they talk about. It establishes a minimum viable bureaucracy to manage a scale-free architecture. I suspect if you have not read about Scrum at scale, you may find this option as a weird option. But if you have read a little bit about Scrum at scale, you will know that, yeah, that is what they keep talking about, that we need a minimum viable bureaucracy, which means there is a need of a bureaucracy, but it has to be keep it at a lowest level. So it helps us in getting things done, but does not create a hurdle and overhead for us. So it's a characteristic of scale at Scrum. So it's not a right answer because we need to find out the option which is not a characteristic of a scale at Scrum. It focuses on running dedicated time-boxed innovation only sprints frequently. Yeah. So definitely that is not a characteristics of Scrum. In Scrum, each sprint should provide business value, architectural value. It should produce something called potentially shippable product increment. So that's the characteristics of little bit of scaled agile framework. So if you get it, you get the answer. Yeah. So sometimes when you have these kind of characteristics question, they try to mix up the frameworks and help you to find out, even if you know the one framework value, you know that this is a characteristic of that framework, not this one, and you can eliminate that. It empowers organizations to align multiple network of Scrum teams on prioritizing a goal. So that's the whole idea of empowering and connecting multiple agile teams to achieve their objectives. Yes, these questions are pretty theory-ish oriented, but since you are preparing for PMI-ACP, I have to introduce them to you. Unlike our past questions, I can't just keep all of them just based on your core understanding of Agile helping you all the time. Here you need to go a little bit of terminologies and theories as well. Yeah. Which of the following statement is not true about Scrumban? Now, similar kind of question like question number 32, but the question number 33 is checking Scrumban. Yeah, question number 33. So option A, Scrumban combines Scrum for structures and Kanban for process improvement. Looks like that's the word mean. Yeah, you probably know it already. Works in visualizing on Kanban board with stories managed using work in progress limits so with work items managed work in progress limits. So I probably a little bit suspicious about it. Not necessarily everything has to be a stories. If I get a better one, then I pick that, else I may suspect this is not a good idea for Scrumban because story word is coming. Option C, it was initially designed as a transition framework from Scrum to Kanban. That's what you read in your material when you prepare for PMI-ACP using PMI content. That's a true characteristic. Option D, Scrumban has additional role like project manager and architect. That's definitely not. It basically rely on Scrum roles and does not introduce any specific role from its own. Yeah. So the answer is option D. If I don't get this one, then I could go to B because it was using a specific word as a stories. But overall, it is not talking about any additional role like a project manager or architect. We are talking about task 2 of mindset domain. Question number 34. You are managing a large software development project with a diverse team, and the stakeholder emphasizes the need of upfront design and architecture. The project involves delivering small business value driven features in incremental cycle. Given the scale and complexity, you want a framework that includes distinct roles such as chief architect and domain experts. Which agile framework would be the most suitable for this project? Yeah. So managing large teams, pure Scrum is not. Maybe you know Scrum is a small team. Unless it is not scale at Scrum or something else, so it is not there. Feature-driven development is something which match the details pretty well. Kanban can be, cannot be, but not designed for this. Yeah, that's the FDD is designed for this particular purpose. Extreme programming is also purely working on developing and releasing things in the incremental manner, usually focuses on face-to-face communication and small teams. That's the idea of extreme programming. So if you have read about the basic details of these frameworks, then you get the answer very easily. So this is your feature-driven development. You can find the details in your material or start using Google for these terms. So final terminology oriented question, which is, I would say, framework definition oriented question. Which of the following is true about Kanban practices? So now, after discussing FDD, after discussing Scrumban, after discussing the beyond Agile, now we are talking about Kanban in question number 35. So we need to just pick up the one which represents the Kanban well. Encourages visualizing work, yes. Focusing on delivering value work in a fixed time box, probably not necessary. And includes retrospective as a core practice. We can do continuous improvement. We don't call it retrospective. Let's see. Option B, encourages visualization of work, limiting work in progress and managing flow continuously to improve efficiency. That's the idea of Kanban. So you know Kanban practices. Sometimes you have 3, sometimes you have a further. So you focus on visualization, limiting work in progress, managing the flow, explicit policy, continuous feedback loop. So those kind of ideas are associated with Kanban way of working. So this is the answer. Encouraging visualizing work required upfront design and architecture, not a Kanban thing. Assign specific role like a development manager, not a Kanban thing. Visualizing work, maintaining product backlog, not necessary. Using story point as an estimation, not necessary. You can do it, but it's not something which is coming as a practice of Kanban. So my recommendation, as a first line where you study about agile values and principles, you need to have brief understanding of popular agile frameworks, which all you should pick up, the one which are listed in your material. Don't go beyond that. So we touched upon few of them here. There are other like Crystal, DSDM, which you probably want to know more, XP little bit more. Some 1 pager, 1.5 pager information is good enough. If you don't do that, you probably miss 1 or 2 questions, not more than that. So it's up to you. If you feel that, I don't want to get into the terminology of many agile frameworks, then you may miss 1 or 2 questions. So now we are focusing on applying appropriate complexity method domain to of a complex theory such like this. So yes, you do get questions around it because there is a proper word mentioned. The previous one, when we were talking about agile frameworks, we were extending the agile values and principles and getting some introductory framework in account. Now we are focusing on this particular section. The next 5 questions are more focused here. Question number 36. Your team is working on a project where requirements are well defined, but the technological realization is uncertain due to new and untested tool. So you have a technical uncertainty, requirement, stability. Using Stacey matrix, how this project will be categorized and what approach might be most appropriate. So what we are basically focusing on, how do you categorize it? So is it simple? Is it complex? Is it chaotic? That's something you need to find out. So the simple thing is, if you understand the Stacey matrix, the answer is very easy. It has a volatility and you need to do some exploration and it will fall under complex stage. So that's what the answer would be. Now, how do you find it out? You need to little bit do a understandings of Stacey matrix. Now, similarly, question number 37, your team is struggling to categorize project into clear domain of certainty or uncertainty because there is a conflicting information, no consensus on the approach and lack of clarity on requirement. According to Cynefin framework, which domain does the situation fall under and what should be the next step? So now you need to use Cynefin framework. Now, sometimes they will put a name of the framework, sometimes without putting the name also based on the characteristic, you need to categorize where should I put this particular project. So you have a confusion here. So the simple process is where you have a straightforward thing. You can just pick it up the work and do it. Complex is where you learn, you run an exploratory cycle and then you experiment and then solution emerges. Complicated, where you engage with the expert, you analyze the situation and provide overall solution. But when we don't know where we are, so we are in a disorder. So this answer is disorder here, which is focusing on that we should be categorizing ourselves as a disorder. We don't know where we are, and we should focus on breaking the situation into smaller parts to categorize them into appropriate domain, and then gradually find how do we handle here. Yeah, so that's your answer. It is easy answer provided you know the terms and tool. If not, difficult to just guess. Same framework, yeah, moving forward. Your team is working on project where problems is well defined, but the solution requires careful evaluation amongst multiple possible options. Expert analysis and data-driven decision makings are crucial to identify the best approach. Which Cynefin framework approach is most suitable for handling this situation? So Cynefin, yeah, not Cynefin, yeah, Cynefin framework approach will be more suitable. So say you know that there are simple, complex, complicated, chaotic, and disorder. Yeah. Now you have a situation which is primarily talking about what? Complicated, because it is saying that you have a problem, but it requires expert analysis, it requires careful evaluation. So you need to go for a complicated option. So answer is complicated. Now inside the complicated, what are the steps? So do you act, sense, respond? When do you do that? Yeah, probably in a chaotic space. That's something you do. Sense, analyze, respond. You do it in a complicated stage, which is your idea here. Probe, sense, respond. You do in a complex stage. And sense, categorize, response. That you do in a simple stage. So in this particular case, this is your answer because we are focusing on working in a complicated domain, because we have an understanding of problem, we need to do a data analysis, and based on that we need to act. So sometimes you get a word complicated, sometimes you get actions you take in a complicated domain as a sense, analyze, respond. Yeah, so this is how you can find the answer. Question number 39. Our team is facing delays in project delivery due to specific steps in a workflow consistently performing slower than others, creating a bottleneck. Yeah, so you should catch that word, bottleneck. Yeah. Now you want to apply an approach that identifies and addresses this constraint to optimize the entire system performance. Now, if you know the theory, you already know the answer. Yeah, you got a two words, bottleneck and constraints. You need to address the constraint to optimize the entire system performance. Which of the following step would be most effective? Yeah. So this thing is giving you a signal about picking up a particular way of analyzing problem by way of applying some theory, because you have a bottleneck and a constraint. You need to pick up what is the effective step. Option A, conduct a retrospective with the team to create improvement backlog items. You can do that. That's a Scrum way of working, generic Agile way of working, where we do a retrospective. But it is not focusing on bottleneck and constraint as a proper theory, which is basically focusing on these two elements only. Identify the bottleneck, exploit it to maximize its capacity, and then subordinate other process to it. Yeah, that's what you do, because it is talking about theory of constraints. So option B, point to a theory of constraint. If you already know about it, you get the answer very clearly. Visualize the work on a Kanban board and establish explicit policy for each steps. Visualization helps, but the whole idea is focusing on constraints and resolving the bottleneck. So you should be picking the terminology which is directly coming from theory of constraint. Apply small batches and focus on frequent delivery. So in a way, A, C, and D are possibly a relevant thing which you do, yeah, to solve your problems. But here, since the question is specifically talking about bottlenecks and constraints, you need to apply the solution which is directly coming from theory of constraint. That is what you have to do in your PMI-ACP exam. Do check these words carefully. Question number 40. Your team is working on improving the efficiency of a process that spans multiple departments. To identify delays, redundancies, and non-value added activities, you decided to use a tool that visualizes the flow of material and information requested to deliver a product or service. So you already get the answer, what you are doing here. Which of the following best describes the step you should take using value stream mapping? So in a way, by adding this particular thing, we have simplified the question. If you don't have it, by this itself, you know that you are doing value stream mapping. Now the question is asking which steps you should take. if I just remove this word, this becomes a little bit more tricky. In your exam, you may not have this word directly coming in. You need to recognize that word. Yeah, here I just wanted to keep it little simple. So which of the following steps you take to apply value stream mapping? Identify bottlenecks, apply work in progress limits, and prioritize task by business value. So that's something you don't do in a value stream mapping steps. Define product requirements, develop iterations, and hold regular retrospective. So that's something is also not relevant. Create user stories, prioritize a backlog, and increment delivery with this sprint. You do it in a Scrum way of working, not here. Map the current process, identify waste, and design a future state to improve efficiency. Yeah, that's something you do. So you need to map the current process and identify value added and non-value added item and come up with some recommendation which will decide the future state. That is what you do as a value stream mapping. Yeah. So unlike our previous 10 questions, these questions were little bit I would say technical in nature, agile technical in nature. But since the exam is like that, there is a particular item in your ECO which focuses on all these frameworks. You should get some awareness of it. If you are following PMI material, then you are safe because you just need to read through that particular mindset domain workbook. Yeah, I know it has lots of pages, around 200, but yeah, you need to go through that mindset workbook that gives you a good understanding of the overall agile as well as help you in getting your PMI-ACP done. If you want to enroll to a PMI-ACP program using PMI material and get assistance from us, you can connect with us. We do run PMI-ACP virtual classroom sessions.